My name is Sarah. I am 42 years old, and I am a farmer. I have a secret that my son does not understand. Every morning, I stand alone in my fields before the sun rises. The air is cold, and the ground is hard beneath my boots. Most people see just dirt, but I see life. My hands are rough, and my back often aches from the long hours of labor. Life has not been easy since my husband passed away, but I stay strong for my home and my child. I work from dawn to dusk just to make ends meet. Yet the silence in my house feels heavier than any bag of grain. I look at my son, Leo, and I see a stranger who dreams of a world I cannot give him. I thought I knew what my future held. I believed my hard work would be enough to keep us together. But one day, everything changed. 10 years ago, my life was completely different. I lived in the big city and worked in a bright, clean office. At that time, my hands were soft and smooth. I spent my days typing on a computer and my evenings walking under neon lights. But then, a great tragedy struck. My husband, Mark, became very ill. Before he passed away, I sat by his side and held his hand. He looked at me with tired eyes and whispered, "Sarah, please take care of our family land. Don't let it die." I made a promise to him that day. It was a promise I intended to keep, no matter how hard it became. I left the city and moved back to this small, quiet village. The transition was not easy. I had to learn how to plant seeds, how to watch the weather, and how to survive with very little. I began to burn the candle at both ends, working in the fields by day and fixing our old house by night. Soon, the smooth skin on my fingers disappeared. My hands became stained with dark soil, and small scars appeared from the sharp tools. Sometimes, I look at my reflection in the window and barely recognize the woman staring back. I am no longer the lady from the city. I am a woman of the earth. I traded my silk dresses for heavy work clothes because this land is my life now. Every callus on my palm is a reminder of my love for Mark and my struggle to get by. I thought this sacrifice would bring me peace, but I didn't realize how much it would hurt my son. As Leo grew older, the distance between us became wider. He spent hours staring at his phone, watching videos of teenagers in the city. To him, the grass was always greener on the other side. He constantly complained about our small house and the smell of wet soil. One evening at dinner, he pushed his plate away. "Why do we eat the same simple food every day?" he asked. "My friends in the city go to malls and racy restaurants. I want a real life." I listened quietly, but my heart felt heavy. He didn't see the unpaid bills hidden in my kitchen drawer. He didn't know I was struggling just to keep our heads above water. To make him happy, I began to cut back on my own needs. I skipped my breakfast for a month. Saving every penny became my mission. I even stopped buying my daily medicine. Finally, I bought him the expensive branded jacket he wanted. I placed it on his bed, hoping for a smile. Instead, Leo looked at the jacket with disappointment. "It's not the latest version, Mom," he said. He took my sacrifices for granted, never asking how I paid for it. A few days later, the harvest season arrived. I was exhausted, my muscles aching from the heat. "Leo, please help me in the field," I pleaded. "The rain is coming soon." He didn't move. He stood there in his clean clothes, looking at my muddy boots with disgust. I could feel him looking down on me. "I'm not a farmer, and I will never be one," he shouted. "I want to move to the city and live with Aunt Clara. She has a beautiful life, not a dirty one like this." The air between us felt frozen. I reached for his hand, but he pulled away. Leo looked at me and said coldly, "I hate this life." It was a bitter pill to swallow. I went quiet, my throat feeling tight. I stood alone in the field, watching him walk away toward the house. My hands started to shake as the first gray clouds covered the sun. I realized then that my son saw our home as a prison, and I was the guard. Little did I know, a much bigger storm was about to arrive. Then, one Tuesday, everything changed. The sky turned a terrifying shade of gray, and the wind began to howl through the trees. I stood by the window, watching the rain pour down with a force I had never seen before. It wasn't just rain, it was a disaster. The storm lasted for hours, hitting the earth without mercy. When it finally stopped, I ran outside to the fields. My heart sank. The golden crops I had worked so hard to protect were gone. They were buried under deep mud and broken by the wind. This harvest was our only source of income. It was the money I needed for Leo's school and our survival. Without it, I didn't know how I would keep our heads above water. The reality was hard to accept, and for a moment, the world felt like it was spinning. I looked back at the house and saw Leo watching me through the glass. His face was pale. I didn't want him to see my fear, so I didn't cry in front of him. I stood tall and walked slowly to the porch. But as soon as I sat down in the shadows, my strength disappeared. I slumped against the cold wood, my head in my hands. My breath came in short, painful gasps. Everything we had was ruined by the water. I had worked so hard to keep my promise to Mark, but nature had other plans. A heavy silence filled the air, broken only by the sound of dripping water. I felt so small and helpless against the world. I closed my eyes and wondered about our future. Would Leo finally leave me, now? The next morning, the world was silent and cold. I woke up before the birds, my body heavy with exhaustion. I walked out to the ruined fields to start the long work of cleaning up the mess. Each step felt like a struggle. Suddenly, I heard a sound behind me. I turned around and saw Leo. He was wearing his father's old, oversized rubber boots. He didn't say a word. He simply picked up a shovel and began to dig beside me. For the first time in years, we worked together in total silence. There were no complaints about the smell or the mud. We were two souls fighting for our home. As we moved a pile of wet debris, Leo stopped. He reached down and pulled something from the thick mud. It was the expensive jacket I had bought for him, now ruined and covered in filth. He held it in his hands for a long time. I saw his eyes move from the jacket to my hands. My fingers were red and swollen from the cold and the hard labor. I had broken my back in these fields just to give him a piece of the city. A strange weight seemed to lift from his face. He finally realized that I had chosen this mud so he could dream of neon lights. He saw the scars I had hidden and the medicine I had skipped. Leo's breath hitched, and his shoulders began to shake. He dropped the jacket and walked toward me. He took my rough, dirty hands into his own. His touch was gentle, and his eyes were filled with tears. He looked at the calluses and the dark soil under my nails. I waited for him to speak, my heart beating fast in my chest. Finally, he looked up at me. He whispered with a voice full of love, "Mother, your hands are not dirty. They are beautiful." In that moment, the pain of the storm vanished. I saw a glimmer of hope in his eyes that was brighter than any city light. We stood there together, surrounded by mud, but for the first time, I felt we were truly standing on solid ground. We worked side by side for many weeks to fix what the storm had destroyed. It was not easy, but we managed to save a small part of the harvest. Those surviving crops were like gold to us. As we worked, the distance between Leo and me began to fade. He no longer spent his time staring at the city lights on his phone. Instead, he watched the seeds grow. He saw how the earth responded to our care. That's when I realized that he had finally found his own connection to the land. Leo stopped asking to move to the city or live with his aunt. He understood that a real life is not about neon lights or expensive clothes. It is about the people who stand by you when the storm hits. We started to rebuild our small farm, one step at a time. Leo even suggested new ways to protect our fields from future storms. He was no longer a rebellious boy dreaming of an escape. He became a young man with a purpose. Our house is still small, and we still work very hard to get by. However, the air in our home feels different now. It is filled with respect and quiet conversation. I no longer feel the need to hide my rough hands or my scars. They are the marks of our survival and our love. We don't have much, but we have each other and a piece of land that we call our own. I look at the fields every morning as the sun rises. The struggle was long, and the pain was deep. But looking at Leo working happily beside me, I know that my promise to Mark is kept. Now, my heart is finally at peace. My journey as a farmer taught me that our greatest challenges often lead to our most beautiful lessons. I learned that hard work builds character, but only love builds a home. We should never be ashamed of our struggle, because our scars tell the story of our strength. True wealth is not found in city lights or expensive things. It is found in the hands we hold during the storm. I am proud of my rough skin and my simple life. Remember, your effort today is planting the seeds for a better tomorrow. Never give up on your dreams, and never give up on the people you love. This story is about more than just a farm. It is about how we grow our values in a fast-moving digital world. We often hide our struggles to protect the people we love, just like Sarah did. However, Sarah's journey shows us a very important balance. Sometimes, silence creates a wall instead of a bridge. Sharing your difficulties with your loved ones is not a sign of weakness. It is a way to build true understanding. Communication is the water that helps relationships survive the dry seasons of life. Another deep lesson here is the power of action. Leo did not change because of a long lecture or a loud argument. He changed when he saw his mother's red, swollen hands and her quiet courage after the storm. Real change happens when we see the truth with our own eyes. If you want to inspire someone, show them your strength through your actions, not just your words. Take 5 minutes today to look at the people around you. Think about the hidden sacrifices they make to support your dreams. Send a simple message or give a hug to thank someone who has been working quietly for your happiness. Remember, a grateful heart is the richest land you can ever own. This is Peak. We believe stories teach more than language. They teach how to stay strong. Stay Peak. Have you ever felt ashamed of your job or the hard work of your parents? We all have moments of doubt, but true pride comes from the heart, not just the position. If you are proud of the hard-working hands that raised you, please comment "grateful" below to share that love. If this story touched your soul, please click the wipe button if you still see it. By doing this, you help spread this message of healing and respect to more people around the world. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Stay with us so you don't miss our next stories of hope. Thank you for listening.